So as you know from the press conference just the other day, we'll be signing an executive order today to do a number of acts on behalf of the city of Plattsburgh and its citizens. They all involve extending our services in these very difficult times through a variety of different other means, in addition to the face-to-face service that our residents expect as well. The staff over the last few days have been putting together all kinds of protocols for City Hall so we can continue on with all of our essential business, mostly focusing on maximizing the distance, social distancing as recommended by the CDC. You can see this room is very typical of the meeting rooms now in the city of Plattsburgh to space out people for their own protection. But we really also ask the public to cooperate as best they can to do as much as they can online. We've even created facilities for people to even attend our meetings online, do public comment online, etc. And we're asking the broader communities, obviously, to also do their bit in trying to minimize congregation. You know, the city of Plattsburgh has population density 600 times larger than the rest of the county. This is where people congregate, and we need to manage that congregation to make sure this infection of the COVID-19 virus does not take hold in our community. Literally, lives are at stake at this point. So at this point, I'm signing the executive order to put this in place, and I'm asking my city clerk to witness it. Thank you. Do you have any questions I can answer this time?
Just regarding, obviously, the heavy restaurant bar presence in downtown Plattsburgh, is there any changes to that besides the 250 or the half capacity? I know I've seen other cities and stuff are doing, shut down completely, take out only.
We see that the public is actually just as concerned as we are, and we've seen a pretty dramatic decline in the populations that are attending in our downtown. The governor has been acting as a leader throughout this entire country on this issue. There's a greater incidence of coronavirus in New York State than any other state in the country right now. We're determined, we know it's going to come to Clinton County, we're determined to contain it. And the reason we're really trying to contain it by asking people voluntarily to not attend large congregations, and not attend any sort of events voluntarily, is that what we need to do is we need to lower the peak of infection. The fact is about 50 to 75% of everybody's going to be infected at some time, just like with common flu. But if we can lower that peak and delay it and stretch it out over a much longer period of time, we can ensure that our healthcare providers have the ability and the capacity to take care of those that are most needed. The most vulnerable populations are anybody with any sort of respiratory compromised immune system, and people over the age of 60. And within that most vulnerable group, it's estimated that upwards of 20% are going to need medical attention. And of those people who need medical attention in the hospital, half of those will need intensive medical attention, including respirators and ventilators, et cetera. It's just simply not that capacity if we allow this to get out of hand. We can manage this capacity, and that's what the governor is trying to do. So this is really designed to slow down the rate of infection, lower the peak, broaden that peak substantially, and allow our hospital, which is a regional hospital for about 200,000 people in the Tri-County area, to have the very best opportunity they can to stay ahead of this. So everybody's cooperation is requested. As I said, the governor is very resolute on not stopping government in its tracks. He's given us all kinds of additional tools. We feel we can use technology to not need some of those tools, like, for instance, he recommended the abandonment of the open meetings law, but we're still allowing for open meetings and participation by giving people the opportunity to come and participate, but also the opportunity to conduct their business and participate from home. So we're going through an awful lot of elaborate steps. One of the other announcements you may have seen yesterday is, if I understand correctly, he's asked people to come to the DMV for their important work up at the county building by appointment only. And that's a pretty dramatic step. If anybody's ever been to a DMV office and seen the big lineup of people, it's pretty dramatic to come by appointment only. He's made online facilities available for people to register their cars, et cetera, just as we are doing in the city for our various services. So these are the proper steps to take at this time. They may seem drastic to some, but everything in government is going to proceed just with more options to allow people to do more of it at home and protect that most vulnerable population. If you think about it, you on your average day might have 20, 30 interactions with human beings, including 2 right here, although we are maintaining the safe social distance. What if you have 20 or 30 of those a day? Those are 20 or 30 opportunities for, if I'm infected, to take it to you and you to take it to 20 or 30 other people. If we can reduce our social interactions from 20 or 30 to 2 or 3, all of a sudden we've reduced the infection rate by a factor of 10, reduce the number of people who need to be hospitalized by a factor of 10, and ultimately reduce the number of people who could die from this by a factor of 10 as well. So there's no reason to panic. We can manage all this very well through all the best practices, but we do need to understand that this is a life and death situation. With good practices, though, everything will be fine.
Does the CDC or Clinton County Health recommend anything, will anything change about the state of emergency once there is the first positive case here? I guess, are there different levels of the state of emergency?
There is, and we've had a lot of debate and discussion within City Hall about whether we do things now or whether we do things until we wait until there's a confirmed case in Clinton County. As you know, there isn't a confirmed case yet, although there has been testing, and some of those tests are not in yet. But there's no doubt it will be here. I would guess it probably is already here. As you know, it takes a little bit of time for the symptoms to appear. Many healthy young people are asymptomatic. They don't even know they have anything more than just a mild cold, but they're still infectious. There's a 8 to 14 day potential delay between getting infected and being able to infect others. So there's quite a lag. So I'm confident it's here somewhere, and we're trying to manage everything as if it is already here. So some people ask, well, why are you doing these things so early? We're doing these things so early so we can really stay ahead of this curve, or at least not get too far behind this curve to really protect our vulnerable populations.
Obviously, your economic background, do you think that the city or even the county is going to take a huge economic hit because of this?
Essential services will continue. People still need to go out and buy food, and we ask people not to necessarily hoard. The supply chain will still work, so people can have their needs met. Some discretionary items people probably spend less on. As an economist, I don't think there's any doubt that this will have a pretty significant economic effect. I'd also venture to say that in 5 months' time, when final quarter 2019, first quarter 2020, second quarter 2020 results come in, we will find out that we are in a recession. I think that's relatively obvious. The markets obviously are saying that. But I have no doubt of the ability of our region and our country to cope with this, to maintain the supply chains. Nobody needs to panic. I think the stock market's probably overreacting as they typically do, but nor should we underestimate this is going to be displacing. It's going to be costly to certain business, especially those in the service industry, but we'll get through this. And I don't want people to worry or panic. We need to be able to continue to conduct all of our various business. If we don't, then for sure that recession is going to be much deeper. Right now, everything is very manageable.
Thanks.
Good.
Thank you very much.